Welcome to Building a New Dream, the third in a series of 12-part podcasts by the Grand Council, brought to you by Ancient Future Today.
And so we welcome everyone to this particular podcast about navigating chaos and building a new dream within that particular activity of navigating. And so this episode is called Communal, for the very reason that last podcast was called Collective, next podcast is called Collaborative. And so today's podcast, Communal, talks about the sensing of how to connect within a collective, how to consider resources, how to communicate, how to relate, how to look at ownership, how to look at governance, how to look at belongings, how to look at property and ownership of property, and all sorts of other things that many people never experience as a communal experience. And when you are not thinking, and many of you do in this community who are listening to these podcasts, and some of you may be new to this concept, so we will address it. Many, if not most people on your planet of Earth these days have never had a truly communal experience beyond the nuclear family, sort of sharing a bathroom between mother, father, and child or children, or sitting down to, or standing up to cook a meal and then sitting down to eat it together, or doing chores, or doing homework, or doing those sorts of intimate things that families often do. And many families do not in these modern days because there are so many distractions and people are on their devices, or they're in their cars going here, where, everywhere, or doing something that is not communal. It's often social, and social does not equal communal. So what we would say to you is that what lies ahead in the new dream, or a new dream, that all of you and we and other sources of off-planet wisdom are all pulling in a communal direction in some very important ways. One is that you begin to see the well-being of Gaia, your planet, your hostess, as a communal responsibility. But every single one of you that benefits from being on her surface, in the bowels of her, in the caves, or the underground, this or that, or taking the resources out of her blood system, or oil and gas we are referring to obviously there, and rare minerals and earth products, and the trees on her surface, and the fish out of her ocean, and this, that, and the other, that keeps you all fed and warm and all cooled and clothed. That whilst you are enjoying communal benefits from what she is offering to you, very few of you see it as a duty or a responsibility or a privilege, which would be the evolved way of looking at this communal sort of responsibility, as part and parcel of your personal part in a communal responsibility. Many cluck their tongues when someone says, oh, climate change, or they say, oh, the forests are burning, or oh, this or that. Lots of uproar and sometimes genuine sorrow at hearing that the ice caps have now all melted and you're looking at a drought for the next 25 years or more, or whatever it might be. Genuinely, most people do not concern themselves about the well-being of the planet when they are going, oh, this or oh, that. They are concerned about their own well-being, about their personal, will there be enough drinking water for me in 25 years and for my children and for their children? So it is a me, mine, and ours sort of concern. Not, oh dear, what are the plants and the other animals and insects and birds and fish and all of it, what is it going to do as well? No, that sort of communal consciousness is vested in a very few human beings. They are the ones who take action. They are the ones who do not just wring their hands and say, oh, tisk, tisk, please pass me the water. No, they figure it out. They talk to each other. They define the problems without distorting the data. They seek the truth together. And then they analyze what needs to be done. And then they go about looking for and hopefully sometimes finding others who will join them in resurrecting the forests or the oceans or the mountaintops or the ice caps or whatever it is that their concern is. Our invitation to all of you humans, old, medium-sized or medium-aged and young and newbies, is that you all consider yourselves to be a communal family of some sort, wherein if one person is not doing well on one part of her planet somewhere, and that part of her planet is not doing well, that it is equally your responsibility to help and to find solutions for the earth there and your family member, albeit perhaps far away, so that they can return to well-being, health, and thriving. For indeed, there are ripple effects of this sort of benign neglect that most of you are employing within your communal responsibilities these days. And in building a new dream, there will need to be an inspiration for that to change. Right now, many people would assume that all of the forests that have burnt in the last several years and all of the air pollution and all of the other things, yada, 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 the scarcity of seafood and sea life and on, would be enough to really wake people up to the need, the necessity to build a new dream. And yet, because everyone, with the exception of the very few whom we have already given recognition to, because the majority of people on the planet really do not care about much of anything beyond themselves and their own well-beings and their loved ones, the issues that we have highlighted here go on and on and on. And they do have ramifications for the collective because it is not acting communally. And so this is just a consciousness that we would like to introduce to all of you. It is not a way where people are constantly in the pockets of others, meaning that you're paying attention to what other people are doing necessarily. It is having that attitude and that heart that if you are suffering, I suffer as well, as does Mother Gaia, as do all the other creatures, great and small, and trees and plants and fungi and all the rest of it. All of it is part of all of who we are. And the good thing about the COVID era is that it has caused all of you to see that a form of virus is universal on your planet, that it can exist in multiple different places at any given time. In fact, all of you are really sacks of bacteria and worms and viruses anyway. You are the vehicles through which these things navigate across your planet and get distributed in your waste products and your skin flakes and the follicles of hair that you drop, all of that. All of you are transport systems for the microbiome of the planet, which far outweighs the human population by a long shot, which is rather exciting when you think about it, because they are communal. They know how to do it. They know how to get around and to thrive and to keep it moving for them and all of them, not just them and theirs. So there are many lessons to learn from the COVID period, from any of the worldwide sorts of things that you can look at and see when a volcano erupts and the ash and the debris, the pollutants, are taken up by the airstreams, and how something halfway around the planet can fall halfway around the planet from where it was generated and be seen and to have some impact on the inhabitants and the plants and the earth in that location. All of those kinds of things are really rather obvious sorts of examples to you about how communal your planet really is, even though you do not have the consciousness of that within everyone. And so we urge that the new dream that you dream on your own, and a new dream that you create communally and collectively, have this consciousness in it, whereby it is not acceptable any longer to ignore or just to acknowledge and then allow local people to take care of the issues if you really could help them with something other than a cargo container of baby supplies or something. You see, there is more to helping than just sending things to people when there has been a flood or the agriculture is ruined or whatever might happen. No, that the communal well-being means everybody is doing as well as possible. That is a big shift of consciousness for your planet, for the humans on your planet. Animal populations work that way, maybe perhaps not in the words we are using or the using their mental faculties for those purposes, and yet you see them. You see ant colonies or beehives or other prides of animals that will come together to perpetrate the well-being of all. Elephants, good example. Of course, there are the lions who kill and this, that, and the other. Of course, everyone is feeding somehow on something, somewhere. So what we are saying to you is, are you able? Are you capable? Are you interested? Do you have a clue how to be communal in your consciousness? And for some, communal has all sorts of negative connotations because communes have engendered certain images in people that have been, what do you call those, cults, where people have taken Kool-Aid and killed themselves, including their children, thinking that the end times were nigh, etc. No, those are not what we would ask you to think about when you think about communal, for that is a distortion of well-being. We will leave you with all of these what's and what ifs and what nots and what to and what not to, and let you just think about it for yourself and see if your quotient of communal consciousness could rise by you just deciding it's time. You're certainly capable of it. And you are born with a birthright to be communally connected to every possible form of life on planet Earth, in conscious connection. And until we have the pleasure and the honor of speaking with you in such straightforward ways again, we ask you to go with our love and every blessing. And for now, a very, very warm adieu.
Thank you for listening. Please join us for future podcasts on this same channel.